So switch gears. We had there's an event coming up online. If you're someone that kind of does this online wrestling thing, you know about the self-made guys, or they have done a lot of work with like Wrestle Pure. So this is like Rob, Chris, Big AO, Ibu. Ibu and Big AO are going to be having a debate, and this is like they've done different debates. I think they did a peak AW versus peak NXT debate. They did. I forgot the other one they did, but the next one that they're doing is like who has a better GOAT case, and it's Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. Ibu will be arguing the CM Punk case. Big AO will be talking about Kenny Omega's case. And I actually sent in, some footage for the montage they're putting together to promote it. But I figured I'd talk about it on the show too. And why not? James was like, why would we put this on the show? I was like, for clicks. Like what the fuck, like. But yeah. So I saw this, and we've hosted different debates in the past. Like it's so suplex. Like I remember myself and Rance did a big debate over. It was something with Roman Reigns. I think it was about the John Cena Roman Reigns promos in 2017 or something like that. Go back in the archives, and
I was a moderator on that. Yeah. I remember that.
yeah, go back in the archives if you
Yeah.
want that. But yeah, this should be pretty interesting. AO, very bombastic personality, fucking hilarious. Ibu, hilarious in his own way, more mild mannered, very analytical, well spoken. Obviously, he's done some stuff with like wrestling
Articulate.
news. I wasn't gonna give him the articulate because that just
No,
sounds
you said well spoken, so I was like, where are we going with this?
nah, because like I think he alliterates his thoughts very well, and I think it actually bothers people that he actually explains things that clearly, and what he
It does because like
means.
because he rarely goes for the dunk. He's actually been like, I'm assuming you text me this nonsense in good faith, so I'm going to respond in good faith. And I think that burns people up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who has the better goat case? What an interesting question. I guess you gotta figure out what the goat necessarily means to you. What does a goat pro wrestler need to have? James, what do you think are some of the things like a goat pro wrestler needs to have?
A GOAT pro wrestler, I mean promos and matches. Promos, matches, rivalries, feuds, pro wrestling. uh yeah, so I mean obviously they have their strengths and weaknesses when you go as far as like individual parts of the pro wrestling game or whatever else, right? Like I still think, the CM Punk and MJF stuff is the best behavior MJF's ever been on, aside from when, he's getting snake charmed by Adam Page. But and even then I still don't think the Adam Page stuff with MJF has been as good as what the CM Punk return stuff was with MJF. But like obviously, most of wrestling is what happens in between the bells, and like CM Punk has been a great wrestler, but it's just we're talking about a guy that has a goat, in ring goat argument. So it's like I don't necessarily see this as close, I think that if you are a person that thinks that CM Punk's better, um, you might have been like a really big in the Ring of Honor in the 2000s. You may have been somebody that was not that aware of Kenny Omega's career before AEW. But if you've seen a good amount of both, I have a hard time imagining you come to the conclusion that it's CM Punk outside of um Kenny Omega didn't seem like he was interested in ever being the man really in when he got to America.
Yeah,
You know,
I think if you're arguing the Kenny Omega case, some things you're gonna want to probably stay away from is like you're gonna want to stay away from like as you just mentioned like weekly television type character presence. Like you have
yeah,
like nothing, like it's very difficult there.
you don't have much. You don't have much as a hero. You have a lot more during his title run as a bad guy.
Right. And conversely, I think if you are going for like personality based stuff, I think you got to talk about like the success that was BTE, like getting yourself over in a way that wasn't necessarily a blueprint. For
Mm.
you, you've seen different stuff like the Zack Ryder show and different stuff like that, but like BTE was something completely different. Like they actually flipped that into business, in
Yeah.
multiple companies, multiple countries. Like these are like doing it just year after year after year after year, no break. Like there's I feel like the Kenny Omega argument is fairly straightforward. Like it's like look at
Yeah.
the incredible matches, look at the record business in multiple countries, and then like I was like one of these guys is already a Hall of Famer, and the other one
I was just about to say that. Look who's already in Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Who isn't? Who's out here
yeah,
still struggling
the
on
other
the
guy
honorable
hopes
mention
to
on the
one day
votes and the
be
ones that got
there.
in their first ballot?
Yeah, the other guy hopes to one day be there. I think if you're arguing, the CM Punk case, like you got to, it's going to be a lot about time and place and how he makes you feel, and because it ain't going to be like, all right, look at the great matches, because like yes, there are great CM
I
Punk
mean, they're
matches.
there. They're just not as many as
Like
Kenny Omega. They ain't even close.
it's like for every one great CM Punk match, there's like four great Kenny Omega,
Or
four or five, like, and it's just like, it's like, I don't know, brother, like, and you got to kind of start navigating. How they're received within wrestling. You got to start
yeah,
navigating, the nasty stuff. You're gonna have to talk about Brawl Out, and then like the effect that kind of like, it takes like on both people's careers. Um, Interesting. um, but yeah, this is a really a philosophical thing more than ever. We've seen different generational things like this. I really think the generational actual comp is Danielson and Omega, which would be like a Brett and Shawn, which would be like, just like these opposite type of wrestling styles, people, fans. And then you have to like look at Punk in that case, and it's like, it's like I don't even know if Punk's necessarily the right guy of this era to be doing that with. I think Danielson and Omega is a much more interesting and kind of salivating debate, because I think there's less leakage in Danielson's career. There's been injury. There was injury time off with that and everything, but still
hmm
feels like CM Punk. There was still a lot of unanswered questions of how big could he really have been. Did the absence, did it create like something that would have been there, or would essentially when he came back, it was like, okay, is this like an artificial thing just because of how much you were missed? And what if you didn't leave? Like, what would it have played out for you like then? I don't know, because like from everything that we kind of know of the story as the story goes, continuing for this guy was not an option apparently.
he burns out wherever he goes. So there's definitely something to that. Now, what I would say is like, as you mentioned the Danielson thing, like that, I find that to be more like Danielson versus Omega. I would find it to be more like compelling to think about. Like in my brain, like my immediate thing is like, oh, Omega, and then move on. No, not the Punk, like, but no, but with Danielson is like, I've seen them in AEW. I've seen them in New Japan. Obviously, not even close to a fraction. Well, it is a fraction technically. Sorry, but like just an infinitesimal amount of Danielson in New Japan compared to what Omega was doing. But like Danielson was fucking excellent in New Japan. And then like you think about, like we talked about the challenges that Omega's had, or lack of whatever, it's the stuff that's been missing as far as the character stuff or whatever else in American Pro Wrestling, in TV wrestling, whatever else, matches it or still great, top of the line, but like the character stuff is there's something left to be desired. But with Danielson and slash Daniel Bryan is like, this motherfucker, like he made chicken salad of chicken shit. Like he, they had him as being a virgin one time. They had Michael Cole call him a virgin, uncool, and he's from the Indies, he's from the minor leagues. That man flipped that shit on his head and became one of the greatest underdog heroes in WWE history. Like that, he's one of the motherfuckers. Like he could have made anything work. He's one of the guys that could have made anything work, and he absolutely did for a long time. So like that's more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think with CM Punk, you're gonna have to lean on like his promo ability. You're gonna have to lean on some of the yeah, I know, it's kind of weird.
Okay. I'm like, wait, what?
You're gonna have to lean on some of the individual business things like the First Dance and individual impacts like on wrestling like that. But like the more you bring up like isolated events, like there's gonna be some stuff you're gonna have to avoid too. Like as far as like how does Nick lose his job and like like you gotta like navigate. It's like, hey, bro, like this stuff, like it goes beyond the ring. Like it, in one sense, it's like you can keep it real basic and be like, yo, I think one guy mops the floor with the other, as far as working in the ring, promos and storylines. But like what makes people the greatest for me isn't always necessarily how, like what plays out in the field of play. Like it's like, did you inspire people? Did you move people? Did you, have people like living and dying with you?
Also, just as important, maybe more important when it comes to these kind of debates, who did you inspire? Because they both inspired a lot of people. But who was it? But like the people that in the next generation following, like, that will also get people to make opinions off of what they think. Like,
but look at all the people like I made a point today actually in the forum. I was like, when people have these hardcore Bret Hart associations like and influences, it's ironic. It's like they want to emulate Bret, but they actually turn out to emulate Shawn in a lot of ways, and then like vice versa. And it's like you take on the traits of like the other one. So like it would be interesting to look at what the CM Punk tree, if there even is any, at this point.
Speaking of that, what's funny? You know how people talk about like the different psychology between Bret and Shawn, and like one was more realistic to a fight, and the other one was like just over the top and can anyone from the nosebleeds can see the reaction, and that's ridiculous or whatever else. Some people that are like not big Shawn fans or whatever else, like about his psychology on selling, not necessarily the melodrama, but the selling stuff. They love it. They in showing ass. They love them some Kyle Fletcher. I'm just like. He's in the Shawn Ziggler camp of showing ass and bumping around and making crazy face.
I think that's an anti-Will thing personally. Trying to use Homeboy essentially to say I do like new wrestling.
They don't wrestle dissimilarly.
I know.
What are they talking about? You're probably right, but I'm just like, are you mad? Like, it's two people in the matches when they be doing that crazy shit. It is both of them.
So,
remember speaking back to Danielson. Remember when Danielson and Ospreay had that match and motherfuckers was talking about, this was a Danielson match. Like, this motherfucker did flip dives.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's like, all right, bro. But with the deal with influence, which is weird. CM Punk has spent so much of his career paying homage, honoring, sometimes just stealing from everyone else. Yeah. It's like, how do you inspire others? Like, and you can say, yeah, Kobe Bryant inspires people. He stole everything from Jordan, but it's not necessarily a one-for-one thing with like CM Punk in wrestling. Wrestling's a little, different.
Wrestling's fake.
Yeah, Ric Flair stole from Buddy Rogers, and a lot of people were inspired by Flair. But like with Punk, I don't know. How do you look at, like, for me, Punk is so see-through in a sense. Like once you notice what the tree is that he's like pulling from, it's like, oh, there's no like sense of like, it's like, why would I need to study you? like you're like a it's like you're like a mixtape almost of all
Yeah,
these.
right. Yeah, but not everybody. But not everybody are sickos like me and you that can go out there that will go be like, hey, this was good. I'll go back and watch it. I'll put if I find it on YouTube, I'll pull it up. I can go find it or whatever else. Like we're in the sicko group. Not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
Like Tunnel Talk is not pulling up no Manami's Hood match. It's not happening.
And it's like, and I can see like the tree of Kenny Omega already, and it's just like all these other. It's like Hangman Page, it's like Will Ospreay, it's Konosuke Takeshita, and it's like we can see like the roots already being planted, kind of for the next era of guys. It's like, who are those guys for CM Punk? And maybe that's like the 10 years missing of his career, or I think it's 10 years, like close to it. It was like, who are those guys that was like, yeah, that he was responsible to like either make or influence and things like that, where I'm like, I think it's just missing for him.
I mean, you can make
Rollins, like, is
you can make the argument that it's like is guys that are Rollins' age, because he's like the people that influenced by Danielson and Joe.
There's not a point for CM Punk.
Look, and you can also be like people like MJF, right? Like that's also
okay.
So it's like right, so like that's one example, but like I'm sure there's more. But like I said, like the influencing is like, all right, Michael Jordan inspired Kobe Bryant, like Kobe, and then you'd be like, all right, well, like LeBron James inspired Luka Doncic or whatever else. Okay, like most people, like at this stage in the game, like Luka's gonna get up to a battle level. Like, nah, man, Kobe's already a legend and whatever else, and like he's an American and all this stuff that goes into that kind of thing, right? Like, people will look back and be like, all right, well, how good was Jokic really? Who did he inspire? Who did Tim Duncan inspire? Right? Like when we do the like for example, right, the last 20 years. Who inspired more of the big man going forward? Like Tim Duncan or KG? Doesn't mean that Tim Duncan wasn't better than KG.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it's just like, but it's also
but
that's
all
a
these
real
things
sport
can change
versus
depending on the
that's
situation.
a real sport versus this.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting kind of thing. I look forward to AO and Ibu, like where they're gonna go with it, because it could be bombastic comedy, it could just be relitigating All Out again, it could be an analytical thing. I'm interested to see which way to go with it. It could be real by the book, it could go off the rails. I think there's a lot of different areas to play with, and we just kind of maybe gave them just a little bit to sample from or whatever, but they
already know
gonna
what
do
they
their
gonna
own thing.
it's gonna play however it's gonna play out, right? That's like it's like two chess masters. I don't want to do that because now it sounds like I'm a blowhard. But like it's like two people that play chess talking about two other people how they their style of chess, how it's gonna play out if they play each other. It's like it's gonna play however it's gonna play out, and we have no influence on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, like I mean, the main thing, for me would be like check it out for the jokes, because like I already nothing's gonna be said and that's probably gonna change my mind. I'm not saying that I'm some closed-minded person, but it's like I feel like that's just a bad opponent for CM Punk.
Yeah, like who do you think a better opponent for Punk would have been? We talked about who a better opponent for Omega would have been.
More compelling.
I'll say one, Jon Moxley.
That might have looked a little bit better about a month ago. Like at the rate this going, Jon Moxley about to roll off another 5 years of being good as fuck again after this last year. We were like, what the fuck happened?
We're gonna have to talk about Moxley. Yeah, like I made a tweet last night too that was like, all right, man. What the fuck went on here?
Bro, the same shit I had been saying. That shit that the Young Bucks did, there was like, we're gonna have worse matches on purpose, and then once they get over that bullshit, they go back to having great matches heels. That's what Moxley's done. Like the last 6 weeks. When was that match with the women in it?
It was pretty much from like Double or Nothing.
Anarchy in the Arena. Was that Double or Nothing?
It was Double or Nothing.
This Double or Nothing. Fuck, he's been Jon Moxley again.
Right.
I mean, like, what the fuck happened to this guy in 2024?
Right. I don't know, man. But Yeah. So make sure you guys check out. I don't know when they're releasing it, but definitely show up if you went there because of us. Tell them O&R sent you, and enjoy however they play this thing out. But